you, Fortunato. Fortunato! Hey, is that you, Fortunato? Prince! Nero! Stop barking!
Stand by for the report number 5 on the activities of Dr. Sawari. This is Dr. Sawari, who is trying to take over the government by force. Our agent, the Frogman Davis, discovered that Sawari had been trying to buy arms illegally. Nothing has been heard from Davis for several days, and he must be assumed dead. Although Sawari appears on the surface to be loyal to the government, his friend and ally, Colonel Maturin, is not so discreet. He has given several interviews to the press stating that a revolution is the only way to cure the country's problems. Your job is to get out there right away and take over where Davis left off. Find out what Sawari and Maturin are up to, who the gun runners are, and make sure there is no illegal arms deal.
Please excuse the heat, Mr. Collins. The air conditioning is not working properly yet. Building is only just finished, you understand.
New offices and a new building. The party's going up in the world.
But of course, we have the answers to all the troubles of this unfortunate land. So, Mr. Collins, you are a journalist.
That's correct.
And what can I do for you, my dear sir?
I'd like you to arrange a personal interview with Dr. Sawari.
Care for a cigar?
Thank you. Do you anticipate that my request can easily be fulfilled?
Dr. Sawari is a very busy man.
Well, it won't take more than 15 minutes.
To Dr. Sawari, 15 minutes is not an inconsiderable time.
Aye, 10 minutes.
You must realize that you journalists have not always been kind to the doctor. He's a man of extreme sensibility.
Mr. Chan, can you or can you not arrange this interview?
Scotch?
Thanks.
Soda or water?
As it is. What about the interview?
Would you pose questions of a political nature, Mr. Collins?
Oh, only in the broadest sense, you understand.
How broad?
Well, I wouldn't ask him, for instance, how he intends to win the next election.
But he will win the next election, Mr. Collins.
At the moment, he holds 20 seats out of 112.
Your questions are going to be entirely political. I can answer them for Dr. Sawari. My answers will be his answers, I assure you. The line of our party is very clear on all issues.
There are certain personal questions I'd like to ask which only he himself could answer.
May I ask, Mr. Collins, if your article will be sympathetic?
Mr. Chan, I work for a reputable newspaper. If Dr. Sawari can't spare me 10 minutes of his time, neither you nor he can blame me if my article is not sympathetic.
I see. I will have a word with Miss Cayley. She may be able to help you.
I'm grateful to you, Mr. Chan. Thank you. The doctor plays a good game, even if he does take his time.
He won't keep you waiting long now. Where are you staying?
At the Blue Rivers?
They do a good pepper pot there. Have you tried it?
So far, my eating has been conservative.
Surprising.
Surprising?
You're not the conservative type. It's his reverse backhand that wins the points.
You sound like an authority. What kind of dish is it?
Spicy and hot.
What goes into it?
Oxtail, calf's head, and slices of pork boiled in cassava juice and spiced with peppers and thyme.
It's appetizing. Do you play?
No, I don't play any game.
Surprising.
Not really. It's very simple. I hate losing.
I'll remember that.
Why? We're not going to meet again.
He's won.
He'll be polite, he'll be charming, but don't take more than 15 minutes of his time. Chris, there's someone waiting to meet you. Mr. Collins from London. He's a journalist. Mr. Collins, this is Dr. Sawari.
How do you do, Mr. Collins?
I'm grateful, Dr. Sawari, you could spare me a few minutes of your valuable time.
Please sit down. It's important to keep fit, you know.
Ah, yes, mens sana in corpore sano.
Yes, it's true. If the body is sickly, the mind turns to degenerate also. Too many people in high places neglect their bodies.
Would you say that your present Prime Minister is a case in point?
You mustn't begin this interview by putting words in my mouth, Mr. Collins.
But he is a corpulent man.
He weighs 200 pounds, I believe.
He's done a good job since he took office. He's very popular with the people, wouldn't you say?
As leader of the opposition, do you think it's likely that I'd agree? The People's Party, Mr. Collins, is like those coca trees which suffer from swollen shoot disease. They continue to produce fruit for a limited time, but they are, in fact, already dead.
We're back on the subject of health.
Precisely. Our present Prime Minister is being prodigal with our country's resources. In 2 years' time, we'll be bankrupt.
But the elections are in 6 months. Surely you don't expect to gain a majority.
We're enlightening the electorate to the perils that face us.
You're still going to lose the elections.
You are provoking me.
The truth often is provoking.
I think I may terminate this interview, Mr. Collins.
Oh, aren't you interested in the possibility that I might be able to help you?
With words.
With arms?
Arms.
You are planning an insurrection, are you not, at this very moment, negotiating for weapons, isn't that so?
How dare you talk to me like that, Mr. Collins?
I can provide you with the very best in automatic rifles, mortars, tanks, aeroplanes, if you want them, and at very competitive prices.
You're talking yourself behind bars, Mr. Collins.
Am I?
I'll give you 24 hours to get out of the country.
Well, in that case, Dr. Sawari, if you'll excuse me, I'll go and pack. time, isn't it, that I saw the whites of your eyes?
Do you have a cigarette?
Why do you hide behind these things?
Because I don't want to give anything away.
You can have them back when you leave.
You're taking a monstrous advantage.
But you invited me to.
Are these all the samples you have?
I thought it might be a little difficult to get one of my tanks through the customs. You didn't take a life.
The Smith & Boson repeating rifle looks interesting. I didn't have time to assemble it.
Well, allow me. Are you here under the doctor's instructions?
I came to find out if you were a genuine arms dealer.
And do my samples and literature satisfy you that I am?
That and my intuition.
Does the doctor rely heavily on your intuition?
He's in his present position because of it.
You're certainly an eminence grise with a difference.
How many rounds does the magazine take?
40, fires as fast as you can pull the trigger, hit a beer can at 100 yards.
Most impressive. But I suspect you're a marksman. What about an average shot?
Try it. That's 4 out of 6 is fairly respectable.
It's a good gun. What about the price?
Want to do business?
Yes, I want to do business.
Now, we'd better start level.
That should make me very angry.
How many are you in the market for?
Why doesn't it make me angry? 10,000.
Because I'm a very amiable fella. $1 million.
There's a very cold streak in you, Mr. Collins.
John Collins.
That's $100 a weapon.
Let's see if there's a mean streak in you. Wouldn't you say it was a reasonable price?
At this moment, we're negotiating with a competitor of yours for the Swab 300.
It's an inferior weapon.
It's $5 cheaper.
Who are my rivals? Bourgeois, Gunnerman, Hamilton?
None of those.
Aren't you going to tell me?
No.
Yes, you're quite right. We might scheme to undercut you. What if I offered you the Smith & Boson at 95?
Are you?
Yes.
Ammunition?
20 cents a round?
When can you deliver?
14 days. That's satisfactory?
I'll have to find out. I'll let you know in 24 hours.
I'm supposed to be out of the country in that time. Doctor's orders.
I think we can say you've been granted a reprieve.
And don't think that I don't know what you're going to do next.
I don't take you for a fool.
However much my rifle comes down, I'm not going any lower.
90?
When you come back, I may not be around.
I'll have to take that chance, won't I?
Yes, you will. On Miss Cayley. Knock on the door next time.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
I felt it was time that we met.
Really?
Yes, we have something in common, you see. May I come in?
I can't imagine what it is. Perhaps you'd care to enlighten me.
Well, indeed I will. It is pleasantly cool in here.
Don't you like the heat?
I don't like to sweat.
Do you perspire easily?
Unfortunately, yes. For that reason, I try to exert myself as little as possible.
Oh, allow me to offer you a lager. It's still reasonably chilled.
You were expecting a visitor.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was.
I shouldn't like to deprive your guest.
Oh, I can always send down some more.
In that case, yes, thank you.
You forgot to introduce yourself, by the way.
It was intentional.
I see.
I imagine, for example, that your name isn't Collins. But call me Sporades. That is a name I like very much.
How do you do, Mr. Sporades?
How do you do, Mr. Collins?
Would you care to sit down while you're enlightening me?
Thank you, no. I prefer to stand. I'm always agitated when I have something unpleasant to do.
That's a weakness.
I had thought of sending 2 of my men, but my curiosity got the better of me.
That's another weakness, Mr. Sporades.
Yes, I know. But fortunately, my weaknesses are balanced by strengths which more than compensate.
Yes. Cigarette?
No, thank you. I only smoke these.
Turkish.
Would you care for one?
No, I'm out anyway. I'll get another pack.
Agreeable as these preliminaries are, Mr. Collins, I think it is time that I got down to the nub of the matter.
By all means, Mr. Spirades, by all means. You can put that away now. These are quite harmless.
A suspicious nature is one of my strengths.
The nub, Mr. Spirades, the nub.
It is very simple. You are treading on my toes. I am going to ask you to keep away from me.
Now, how could I do that? I've never seen you before.
You understand perfectly what I am saying.
Oh, yes, but I'd like you to spell it out.
The doctor. I have been negotiating a deal with him for a week. We were reaching agreement on the price, and then...
I came along.
In this business, we do not undercut each other, Mr. Collins.
We are all honorable men.
Your sense of humor is a little ironic.
I have the feeling that you're about to issue some form of threat.
I told you it is simple. Do not sell to Dr. Sawari.
And if I do?
Surely you don't want me to say it, Mr. Collins.
But I do, Mr. Spirades, I do.
It has a way of sounding so melodramatic.
Oh, please, Mrs. Spirades, say it.
Very well, if you insist.
Please don't hesitate. You'll ruin the effect.
If you sell your weapons to Sawari's party, Mr. Collins, make no mistake, I will have you killed.
Oh, that didn't sound in the least melodramatic. On the contrary, I thought it was rather prosaic.
I'm glad you can laugh about it. I will go now and leave you to your next visitor. May she bring you pleasure.
She?
Thank you for your hospitality.
Pleasure.
Goodbye, Mr. Collins.
I'm very happy that you've returned them.
Your need is greater than mine.
Cocktail? I did knock this time, by the way.
When I think of the ease with which you enter my room, it doesn't speak very highly for the hotel's security system.
I must confess, when you weren't there, I thought I'd lost the bet.
Did your heart flutter for a second?
For a fraction, yes. Then I saw your luggage. Why don't we sit over here? The jasmine from the garden's very fragrant. Where were you this afternoon?
Let's say I got restless.
Can you smell the jasmine?
Yes. Very fragrant. Why do you want power, Miss Cayley?
Do you imagine that's a man's prerogative?
You appear to be a lady who has everything.
Perhaps that's your answer.
You always get your own way.
Don't force me to put my glasses on. You're going to dine with me.
How nice. Does that mean the deal's on?
There are still problems.
It's a question of heavy machine guns and mortars.
Good evening. I thought the jasmine had a strange fragrance of Havana. You will be Colonel Maturin? Dr. Sawari. Regarding the machine guns and mortars, there's no problem. I have Browning MGs and Kovac mortars.
You can supply shells for the Kovacs?
Yes, of course. Apart from the Browning, I've also got the Valletta.
25 Brownings, 15 Kovacs.
Your original estimate, Colonel, was 20 and 10.
I revised that estimate, Doctor.
And your prices?
300 for the Browning, 450 for the Kovac.
Yes. If you put in the Smith & Bosons at 90.
My rival must have come down.
He accepted 90, yes. But we prefer to deal with you.
I don't like the swab.
And I don't like $90.
Colonel, you should sometimes think a little more before you speak.
You've just cost the lady $50,000, Colonel.
I still don't like the swab.
All right, Mr. Collins, 95.
Delivery's got to be in 10 days.
That's possible, isn't it?
Oh, yes, possible, yes.
It has to be yes or no. If it's no, we must use Volos. He can deliver immediately.
So, Volos is my rival.
It would have been better if you'd not mentioned
That is
his name,
unimportant
Colonel.
now. Could you produce the arms and the time, Mr. Collins?
I shall have to send a cable at once.
If you give me the message, I'll see it goes out tonight.
Yes, of course. I shall expect cash in advance.
Naturally.
Where do you want the goods delivered?
To my private airfield at Tobiah.
Where do you keep your supplies?
At the place where I keep them.
How charming. Shall we go in? I thought you'd like to try a pepper pot. I trust it will be to your taste.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
I think you'll find the amount is right. The check is certified.
Then we're in business.
Do you mind if I close the windows? It's getting cool. Did you think it was obvious the way I gave them their congé?
Yes, you did seem to hurry them away.
The Colonel is not amusing. I like to spend only as much time with him as I have to.
And the doctor?
Very preoccupied right now.
With a revolution on his hands, it's hardly surprising, is it?
Am I preoccupied?
You, Miss Cayley, are a very singular lady.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
You should. May I ask why you didn't hurry me away as well?
You always manage to disconcert me. I wish you wouldn't do that.
I'd never have known unless you told me.
You intrigue me because you don't need dark glasses. Your eyes give nothing away, nothing at all.
It's gratifying to hear that.
And yet, quite suddenly at dinner, my intuition veered.
Veered? Does that mean you no longer trust me?
I never trust anyone. No, it's more complicated than that.
Are you going to stop on that intriguing note?
Why don't you play something?
I think
Oh,
perhaps
please
I should go.
You're tired?
Relax.
Would you like me to show you to your room?
My room?
Yes. Your room.
Here?
Here.
I'm sorry, I must have misread the invitation. I didn't bring my toothbrush.
You'll find one in your room,
Pajamas?
if you like.
I'd love to stay, but unfortunately I'm down for the dawn patrol tomorrow morning.
I'll send you your things in the morning. You'll find it's far more comfortable here than at your hotel.
I'm quite sure you'll rate a 4-star classification, but nevertheless...
You're going to be here for 10 days.
But till the goods are delivered.
Yes. Colonel Maturin wants to be sure about his guns, and Dr. Sawari wants to be sure that you don't talk.
And you, Miss Cayley?
I want to be sure that Volos doesn't kill you.
It's very touching.
And I also want to be sure that my original intuition about you was the right one.
If it wasn't?
I'll kill you.
You know, Miss Cayley, as a personality, you're beginning to grow on me. But
But?
I'm going back to my hotel. I wonder if you'd be kind enough to show me to my room.
Good morning, sir.
Is it?
What would you like for breakfast, sir?
2 poached eggs.
I put your clothes from the hotel in the dressing room.
Hope you paid the bill.
There's a note here. I believe it needs an answer.
I hope you slept well. If you are agreeable, perhaps you would join me for breakfast. Please signify. Signified.
X is always the unknown quantity, isn't it?
Always.
Did you sleep well?
Oh, very well indeed, considering the unusual lighting arrangements outside my window and the 2 gentlemen outside my door.
You promised to be agreeable.
I'm smiling. While we're on the subject, what are those 2 fellows doing over there in the shrubbery?
They're weeding.
And I suppose if you open any door in the place, you'll find someone inside weeding.
Obviously, you don't find me sufficiently distracting.
Just how many servants do you employ, Miss Cayley?
A good general, I'm told, never reveals the strength or the dispositions of his forces.
Stop playing soldiers.
And play.
Anything else? By the way, there were several things missing from my baggage.
That was me. I removed your samples.
I'd like them back if you don't mind.
And so you shall, in 9 days' time.
There was no ammunition.
There is a grenade.
Wasn't fused.
You're very persuasive, but no. Eat your eggs, they'll get cold. John,
Yes, Miss Cayley.
there was a strange little gadget among your things. What was it?
A little gadget.
What's it for?
When am I to be allowed out for exercise? Even convicts are granted that privilege.
The time will soon go by. John,
Yes, Miss Cayley.
you didn't tell me what that little gadget was in your luggage.
Didn't I?
No,
It's a sample.
but it's not a weapon.
No.
Why won't you tell me what it is?
I will if you're really interested.
I am.
It's a tracking device. It responds to impulses.
And why do you need it? What do you use it for?
I've told you, it's a sample. I don't.
How is it connected with selling arms?
It isn't.
You sell?
Anything.
Does that include people?
This is a very strange conversation.
Perhaps it's the situation.
Perhaps. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to retire. Would you be kind enough to ring for my keepers?
Are you bored with my conversation?
On the contrary, I find it very stimulating, but I don't want to overdo it.
Please don't. If there's anything you want, you've only to ask.
Excluding my freedom, of course.
Is there anything?
Yes, I've smoked too many cigars. I'd like something to cleanse my palate.
What?
A melon. I'll have it in my room. Should have your guttering fixed. Someday someone is liable to get hurt. Now that my wings are clipped, does he have to stay out there?
You're a very ingenious man. I can't afford to relax.
Pity. I have that brandy now.
Does it hurt very much?
Throbs. It looks as though I'm about to leave the frying pan.
Good evening, Miss Cayley. Please forgive me for dropping in like this unannounced. Excuse me for eating, but I had a certain apprehension about the success of the raid. I find food always has a soothing effect.
Wallace, I will never excuse you, not after this.
I apologize. What happened to you, Mr. Collins?
I was clumsy.
I find that hard to believe. Though I admit I have no objection to seeing you handicapped. Won't you both take some coffee with me?
I'd like less politeness, Wallace, and a quick explanation.
Black or with milk?
Mr. Wallace can't help being polite. I'll take mine black.
It was my strict upbringing as a child, you see. Sugar?
May I help myself?
Certainly.
Now, if we finished with the formalities...
You're using the wrong tactics, Miss Cayley.
Would you care for a Turkish cigarette?
No, thank you, Mr. Wallace.
I know you don't use them.
Would you mind if I have one of my own?
No, please do. I am ready to make my explanation now. I think it would be more convenient if we talked tete à deux. So, Mr. Collins, would you please excuse us?
Sir.
Holst, please help Mr. Collins out of the car and make him comfortable. And Mr. Collins, I think perhaps you should say goodbye to the lady. I doubt if you will see her again.
I seem to have heard that somewhere before. Goodbye, Miss Cayley. Being your prisoner had its compensations.
I return the sentiment. Goodbye, John.
Would it be presumptuous to ask where you're taking me?
Not at all. To one of my favorite haunts. An attractive old building. Romantic association.
Not very accessible.
I don't want it to be. It was an old pirate hideout.
It still is.
Morgan operated from here. The Royal Navy searched for him for 5 years and never found him.
Recuerdo, senor.
Call airlift. Tell them that we'll be flying it out in the morning. We shall need 3 of their large helicopters.
How many trips, senor?
Well, not less than 6 each. Now, let me show you the rest of this building.
I'd just as soon sit down here.
It won't take you a minute. You will find it fascinating.
Lead on.
Switch off the landing lights.
Up above us in this tower, they kept a powder magazine. And this old cell was right beneath it. Then if the Royal Navy should happen to drop a red-hot gunshot into the magazine, it took care of the prisoners as well.
Very ingenious.
Wasn't it? Come and take a look inside. It's solid, isn't it?
Very well preserved. You know, standing here, I can sense the feeling that one of Morgan's prisoners must have had.
A feeling of hopelessness.
Well, not altogether. You know, the history of these seas is full of stories of fascinating escapes.
Yes, but not from here. The scrub is too thick to penetrate, and the ridges are too steep to climb over. There are only 2 ways out of here, by sea or by air.
You enjoy playing childish games, don't you, Wallace?
Well, life can be a dull affair. It shouldn't be taken too seriously. Won't you join me?
What are we celebrating?
I would like to drink your health, Mr. Collins. You have finally done me a good service.
A service?
Yes. The deal with Sawari is complete. I have made an extra 10 on each swab. I have this morning received a large sum of dollars, a very large sum. When I deliver later in the day, I will receive the rest.
Good. Sure.
By the way, I have told Miss Cayley that you are a British agent. You are, aren't you?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
No, today the stuff will be delivered to Dubai. Of course, we will have to decide what we are going to do about you. There seems to be only one answer.
Vanity is another of your weaknesses, isn't it, Wallace?
It is rather pathetic to see you displaying such defiance in your condition. And yet admirable, too. I think I'd better leave you.
I think you'd better. I couldn't bear to see you playing the sentimentalist.
No, it wouldn't become me. Some more champagne?
No, thanks. What I need is some sleep. My ankle's playing up rather.
Oh, I promised Miss Cayley I would collect a check.
I'm terribly sorry. I can't know about that, yes. A check for instance.
Thank you. I won't be seeing you again, Mr. Collins.
No, don't bother to wish me luck.
I'm not quite that hungry. Goodbye.
A long farewell.
Manuel, find out what's the matter with those dogs.
Si, senor. Mr. Wallace! Mr. Wallace, he has gone!
What happened?
I brought him a coffee. He was not here. There's no way he could get out.
No, none. I should have taken his wallet.
No, Mr. Wallace.
He bribed you, didn't he?
No, I swear it, Mr. Wallace, he didn't.
Manuel! Manuel!
Si, senor.
Manuel, take the dogs and search all around the beach. Look! The dogs have this! It's Collins' fault.
John calling Electra. John calling Electra. Come in, Electra. Come in, Electra. Give me priority. Urgent. Come in, Electra.
Hello, John. Hello, John. Electra can hear you.
Have not much time. Imperative. Authorities ground all flights at airlift. Advise General to send Air Force helicopters to Morgan's Roost, West Head, to apprehend gunrunners. Await your reply. Message out.
Electra to John. Electra to John.
Hearing you.
Have contacted the General. Our men will be along in a half an hour.
Very glad to hear it. Thank you, and out. On our way.
Here, take the bearer checks. They can be cashed on demand.
They're going to lock you away for a very long time.
You think so?
They don't like people who sell arms, especially when someone gets killed.